Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay. To move. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Naranam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. Reading from Śrimad Bhāgavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 30. Description of adverse fruitive activities, Text 30. Evam kutumbam vibhrana udaram bhara evava visrijye bhobhayam pratya visrijyeho bhayam pratya bhunkte tat palam idrisham evam kutumbam bibrana udaram bhara evava visrijyeho bhayam pratya bhunkte tat palam idrisham. Evam kutumba vibrana udaram bhara evava visrijyeho bhayam pratya bhunkte tat palam idrisham.
Evam Katumbam Vibrana.
Evam kutumba vibrana
Udaram Bhara Evava.
udaram bhara evava
Visreho Bhayam Pratya.
visrijyeho bhayam pratya
Bhunte Tat Palam Idrisham.
bhunkte tat palam idrisham. Evam kutumbam vibrana udaram bhara evava pratya evam. In this way, kutumbam, family, vibranaha, he who maintained, udaram, stomach, bhara, he who maintained, eva, only, va, or, visrijya, after giving up, iha, here, ubhayam, both of them, pratya, after that, bhunkte, he undergoes, tat, of that, phalam, result, idrisham, such. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace by Charana Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. After leaving this body, the man who maintained himself and his family members by sinful activities suffers a hellish life, and his relatives suffer also. Purport. The mistake of modern civilization is that man does not believe in the next life. But whether he believes or not, the next life is there. And one has to suffer if one does not lead a responsible life in terms of the injunctions of authoritative scriptures like the Vedas and Puranas. Species lower than human beings are not responsible for their actions because they are made to act in a certain way, but in the developed life of human consciousness, if one is not responsible for his activities, then he is sure to get a hellish life, as described herein. After leaving this body, the man who maintained himself and his family members by sinful activities suffers a hellish life, and his relatives suffer also. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langati girim. Yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Gurun Dhyatarinam. Divet Brindarena Kalpa Drumada Śrimad Ratna Garasimha Samastha Śrimad Radha Shil Govinda Devao Prashtalibi Seva Mano Smarami. Thank you. Hare Krishna. There are people who are called existentialists, so they are very worried because of the existential situation of the human being. We are just we are born in a certain situation in the middle of this terrible universe where so many things are happening, and we are very small, and this universe is huge, and our life is out of our control at least. We don't control it. So this is their predicament. This is the tragedy of human life, according to them, is that we don't know why we are placed in this situation. We're just born here, and we are born in the midst of all this suffering, countless suffering, in so many species of life. Of course, what they don't know is that there is a plan and there is a purpose behind all this. They take it for granted that there is no controller, there is no God, and some of them come to the conclusion that if there is no God, if there is no universal law and order, if everything is just chaos, then everything is possible. This is what they call the terrible freedom. Think about it. If there is no God, if there is no, like Shri Prabhupada here, he explains, there is next life, and there are consequences of everything we do. If there is no such consequence, then this is the terrible freedom, that everything is possible. I can do anything because nobody will judge me. And they say this is the burden that a human being carries on his shoulders. The burden is that you are God. Basically, that's what it means. If there is no God, I am God. I can decide what I have to do. And people are so convinced of so many stupid, foolish, absurd concepts. You name it, so many things. And they're convinced, and they are ready to fight to defend their false belief system. When religious persons are trying to make some argument, they meet with very stiff opposition. And just like when we are dreaming, usually we are not aware that this is a dream, right? Sometimes we are, but most of the time when we dream, we have a dream, very vivid dream, then we think this is the reality, and we're convinced. So the very fact that we are very convinced about something doesn't necessarily mean that this is true, because when we wake up, then we understand this was just a dream, illusory reality created by the mind. Most of the time, of course, there are dreams that are spiritual dreams, but we don't mean this. So, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that there are two entities, two realities. One is called the kshetra, This means the material body, the field of activity. And then we have kshetragya. Kshetragya is the soul. And of course, there are two types of souls. One is the individual soul and also the super soul. What is the difference between the individual soul and the super soul? Back to you.
Individual soul, tiny.
Yes.
Super soul, mass.
And as a consequence of this is true, as a consequence of this, samasti vyasti, is very big, gigantic, and the other one is very small. As a consequence, the super soul is conscious of all bodies, and of the body. In a sense, the universe is the body of the super soul, Kshira Kashaya Vishnu, Garbha Kashaya Vishnu, and the small individual soul is conscious only, is aware only of this small body. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also makes a distinction between, well, this is the distinction, the soul and the kshetragya and the kshetra. And Krishna says that part of the kshetra, of the field of activity of the body, are different things. Of course, we know the gross material, the five Panchamahabhuta, the five material elements, the gross material elements, and the subtle material elements. And there is another thing which Krishna calls opinions. These are our opinions, our material tastes, our preferences, our worldviews. And this is also not the soul. This is the interaction of the field of activity. Mind, intelligence, false ego. And it is quite shocking to discover that all these concepts that we were so attached to, and we are maybe to some extent still attached to them, these concepts are just interaction of the three gunas. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that the three gunas are always fighting for supremacy. And according to the combination of the three modes, we form our particular tastes, the food we are eating, the clothes we prefer, our friends that we like to hang out with, and our opinions, our philosophical, if we have any, worldviews. And this is not us. These are just the gunas. It's quite shocking because we thought, and we still think to some extent, that this is me. And now Krishna says that's not you, it's just the gunas interacting, and you're under their influence, and you think this is you. So people, for example, also in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that there are three types of knowledge. The knowledge in Sattva Guna sees, according to this knowledge, you see the same living entity in all kinds of species. And it's the same spirit soul inside. And this is the knowledge in Sattva Guna. So if you are in Sattva Guna, you will have this type of knowledge, this type of opinion. And in this case, this is the true opinion. So therefore, in the mode of goodness, it is stated that you see the world, you see the reality as it is. But if you're in the mode of passion, then you see different living entities in different species of life. And that's what many religious people, they accept as reality. They say, only human beings have soul. Amazing discovery. And guess what? All these animals that we like to eat because they're very tasty, the flesh, their bodies are very tasty, we want to satisfy our palate, they don't have soul. You know, when and the consequence of this is that you are allowed to do whatever the hell you want to do with them. And there is no consequence because there is no soul inside. So what is there inside then? Well, there are some philosophers, they say it's you have a human soul and then you have animal soul and plant soul. And there are concepts like this. But somehow the animal soul and the plant soul is a low grade. It's not really a soul. We call it like this, but it's not truly a soul. So this is the knowledge in the mode of passion. Just like It's a very common strategy. People do it also with other human beings. It's called you depersonalize the person. You dehumanize somebody. That means he's not really a human being, okay? Just like Hitler, he dehumanized Jewish people and some other people as well. Slavs and gypsies, etc. So they are not actually proper human beings. That's what he thought. And he was convinced, so much so that, we know from history, he was so convinced that he didn't hesitate to start wars, to kill so many innocent living entities. When you dehumanize somebody, then this person he doesn't hold the same rights as normal human beings. You can just destroy this, just like you destroy the cockroaches in your house by using poison, etc. So this is the knowledge in the mode of passion. Of course, lots of ignorance, because it creates so much suffering, causes so much suffering for others. And then the knowledge, Krishna explains the knowledge in the mode of ignorance is very limited. It is just about tiny section of material reality, and you accept this knowledge as all in all. So this is all that there is. Just like some people, even some scholars, they are studying very minutely some very small part of reality. That's what they do. The scientific knowledge is very fragmented nowadays. Somebody was telling me, a friend of mine, devotee, who was pursuing his PhD, and then he gave it up like a few months ago. He told me that in physics, when he was going to these conferences, where all these scholars, they were presenting their research, and his impression as one of them back in the day was that they are actually dealing with very minute segment of and this is the material reality. And he said beyond the first, because they always use this PowerPoint presentation, he said beyond the few, you understand, also I'm part of this field, okay, I'm also a scholar in this general field, but he say I and the rest of my colleagues, we were able to understand only the first few slides of what he's talking about, and then the rest we just, because that's his field, it's not my field, I don't know these things, let alone ordinary persons. So the point here is that according to the modes, Srila Prabhupada explains that our heart is connected to certain combination of the three modes, and according to this, we will choose spontaneously, interestingly enough, we will choose our opinions. They will be just handed on a plate to us. So, okay, you are, what kind of combination? Okay, you have little sattva, very big chunk of rajas, and also little ignorance. All right, so that's for you. This is what your friends will look like. This is what your food, your clothes, this is the music that you like to listen. This is your worldview. And we think this is me. No, this is just, in this particular lifetime, you have this combination of the modes, and this is your philosophy. This is your opinion. A friend of mine was telling me that in Germany, they have these machines because people don't know. They don't know when there is election. They don't know for whom to vote. So Germans, they are very efficient. So they created these machines, and they ask you questions. It's like an interview. Okay, so what is your opinion on the immigration crisis? And there are a few options. We have to allow all the immigrants freely. What was that? Immigration is not a sin. And then the next, no, we have to screen them properly. And then the third one is, no immigrants allowed in Germany. Germany for Germans. So, and you choose one of these. And then there is next question. What is your take on the social policy? What do you think? We should distribute lots of wealth to the downtrodden, to the socially weak people, or and then you take your pick, and then there are questions about the economy, and etc., etc. And then at the end, they tell you, well, it looks like that you have to vote for this party because that's what they endorse. And my friend, funny enough, he told me that when he filled up all the questions, and he was immigrant actually. He was not from Germany, but he ended up living in Germany. And when he filled up all the questions, and in the end they told you seem to be very much akin, your position is to the ultra right-wing German nationalistic party that doesn't allow any immigrants. And he's immigrant himself, so. But so that's the point. We shouldn't be too much attached to our opinions. Of course, here we don't talk about following the Shastra, because Shastra is not our material subjective opinion. It is the opinion of Krishna. Therefore, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita and in other places, sometimes, this is my opinion, in Bhagavad Gita also. That's what I think. The people think this, some sages say this, some sages say that, but that's what I think. So Shastra is Krishna's opinion, and when we are following Shastra, then we are free of this trap of being attached to our conditioned nature. But this happens, usually, naturally happens on the level of bhava. On the level of bhava, we are not so much concerned anymore. We don't identify with our material body and material mind. That means we are more or less free of our attachment to our materialistic opinions. And this could happen before that also, by following strictly whatever we heard from Shastra or from Guru. But spontaneously inside we may hold different views, but because we understand intellectually, okay, I'm conditioned, I have to follow Shastra. But the natural form of this is on the level of bhava. So that means before bhava, we shouldn't be too disturbed or too attached, or too stubbornly holding to our world views and accept them as our soul, as our spiritual identity. On the contrary, in these initial stages of bhakti, if we are too spontaneously attached to something, we should actually, this, as people say, this is a red flag. It's a red flag. Okay, well, what is it? Why are you so attached to this? Why are you suddenly so spontaneously attracted to something, to some object or to some concept? Are you sure that because we still identify with the body and the mind? That means it's most probably it's a material thing that you attach to spontaneously. And once we advance by following the process of sadhana bhakti, then our taste will change. It will evolve, and it will become spiritual taste. And then we'll be spontaneously attracted to things that are good for us, to spiritual reality, to chanting the holy name, hearing about Krishna, performing devotional service. And then only our tastes and our attraction will be like the pramana or the proof that we are right, because we have spiritual taste now. I'll give you an example. Yudhishthira Maharaj, when there was a discussion after Arjuna won Draupadi in the Svayamvara, then there was a discussion between the Pandavas, their mother, and there were some other great personalities there. Draupadi's brother, Drishtadyumna, and I think King Drupad, and they were all discussing, because now, according to Kunti's words, all the 5 Pandavas had to marry Draupadi, and this is very uncommon. Usually you have the other way around scenario. And then they were talking back and forth. Is this according to Dharma? It's not sure. And then Yudhishthira said something very interesting. He said, my mind since my birth has been always spontaneously attracted to Dharma. I have never performed any adharmic activity. So, this being so, my mind doesn't revolt at the idea that we all marry Draupadi. Hence, it must be dharmic. This must be okay. So this was the pramana, the proof that Yudhishthira presented. Because I like it, that means it's good. But this is Maharaja Yudhishthira, the son of Dharma. So if he says so, then this is tangible, this is truth. If we say so, because I like it, that means because that's my opinion, it must be true, then this might not be true. Probably it's not true, because we are not, at least most of us, we have not reached the level of Bhava so far. And of course, Yudhishthira didn't just say that. There were other authorities there who confirmed that. Vyasadeva confirmed, Krishna confirmed, so it was accepted as the reality. And until we reach this point, we shouldn't be too attached to our opinions. That means, as Vaisheshika Prabhu likes to say, I live to be corrected. This is the mantra that he gave to all of us once in Mayapur. He said, okay, now I'm going to give you a mantra that if you follow, you'll be always happy. You want to hear it? And then the voice said, yeah, please. And he said, I stand to be corrected. That means I'm not so attached to my materialistic opinions and tastes, because that's not me. And if an advanced devotee comes, more advanced than me, or Shastra, Srila Prabhupada, and he tells me that you are wrong, then I will accept that I'm wrong. Although I'm completely convinced that I'm right. This is our... Of course I'm right. My mind distributes the absolute truth 24/7. Whatever my mind say, because it's my mind, must be true. But guess what? We're conditioned, and this is one of the consequences. And also in this social controversy field, that the society is full of these controversies, and our society also. But one thing is that, as we said, we shouldn't be so convinced that we are right. We might be wrong, at least theoretically. We should give a benefit of doubt, especially in this sphere. Not about the tenets of our philosophy. Then we should be convinced, because they don't come from our mind. They come from Krishna, directly from Shastra. So we should never doubt Shastra. But we should doubt ourselves. Our interpretation of Shastra may be correct, may not be correct, until we are liberated. Another thing I wanted to say, if we are too attached to these social issues, and that's all what we discuss, controversies, this, that, is this right or that, then this is a sign that we are not very advanced in bhakti, because we still have this interest in this lower strata of materialistic concepts. Because we see the advanced devotees, they are not very concerned about these things, because they're always receiving so much taste from discussing directly Krishna Katha, that for them, this is not of interest. So if we catch also ourselves that we're always into these controversies, then it's time to chant more, to read more Bhāgavatam, because these issues, they will continue. There is one philosopher, he said, we will leave this material world as wicked as we found it. We won't be able to, in other words, we won't be able to create a revolution. This material world we cannot fix the material energy. We can perform devotional service and at the end of life go back home to God, but the material energy will remain as it is. We're not going to be the great religious reformer who will make planet Earth a Vaikuntha planet because of our political activities. It's not, as far as I understand, that's not what Prabhupada intended by creating ISKCON. Okay, Hare Krishna. So we can speak a lot about these things, but I think we said enough. Thank you very much. So if somebody wants to share something, to say something, yes, Tulsi Prabhu, and then Hare Prabhu.
Hi, thank you very much. There's something I want to share is, like you said, we have this idea that because something is connected, it's coming from my mind, that's why it's so important and so special. And this also sometimes goes to other personalities, basically everything which is connected with me is very special. And sometimes
Ahamameti, I mean, me and mine.
So sometimes in spiritual life also the same tendency, it's a material tendency, but it can actually transfer to the spiritual life as well. And it can manifest in, let's say, something like, my Guru Maharaj is so special. Why? Not because he's so special on his own, but because he is my Guru Maharaj. That's why he's very, very special.
Yes.
So there is such kind of situation. So
It's my Guru, therefore he's special.
yes.
I have chosen him.
So yeah, this aha-momenti mentality can even penetrate into spiritual life, and we start putting it in so many things. And as you said, sometimes it's difficult to differentiate what is actually the pure spiritual life from the pure opinion of Shastra, and where our opinion is getting.
Infiltrates. Yes,
So that's why we need the guidance.
exactly.
And someone who is more pure than us, he can actually see. He can say, okay, till here it is pure spiritual life, pure Shastra. Well, here your opinion is kind of getting a little bit mixed in your ideas by life.
Yeah, if you remember when I recently I wrote this essay and I was expressing certain ideas there that I thought are very good, then our friend who is senior devotee, he checked the essay and he said, well, and he said exactly what you said. Up to here, what you're saying is according to Shastra. But from this point onwards, that's your own imagination. So you better get rid of this part. And then it's a very nice essay. And then fortunately, I had good fortune to follow this. And now we have a bona fide statements according to Shastra. Otherwise, they're mixed. And you have to distinguish, okay, this is the voice of Shastra, and from here onwards there is his own speculation, and it's not good. Yes, thank you. Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, thank you. I had a comment and a question. The one comment you were mentioning about people who like controversies. Lecture Prabhu said one time that controversies are like breaking news.
Yeah.
People like to attend the 24-hour news cycle, and he said we should read Śrimad Bhāgavatam because that will break the news of breaking the
Yeah.
cycle of birth and death.
Mm.
So that's actually the real news. Everything else is just a transformation.
Hey, you eternal. You eternal spirit soul. Wow.
Everything else is just a transformation of the material nature. My question was, you were mentioning about progressing on practice of sadhana bhakti, and you were mentioning if someone takes up to it fast, like people take up to sadhana bhakti fast. So my question is, if someone takes up to the practice of Krishna consciousness very fast, like somebody just jumps right into it, but then afterwards they kind of like they're very fired up and then they calm down.
Going to a Plato.
Or they plateau, or they eventually just fall in material nature. Is that because they're attached to a material aspect of Krishna consciousness? Or is it because of offenses, or a combination of both?
Mm.
Because people can be attached to the material aspect of Krishna consciousness. You can come to Krishna consciousness for, Ayurveda, just like making yourself healthier, or like to be a nice kirtan leader, or you want to get a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
Or is it because of offenses, or
Yeah. Yeah, could be all of those. Srila Prabhupada explains in Nectar of Devotion that the fact that somebody is joining the movement means that probably he was devotee in previous life. It's right there in the Nectar of Devotion. So I was thinking about this. That means that we have been practicing probably for quite some time. That's not our first time as devotee. And this leads to a rather unsettling conclusion, is that we have missed the boat for quite a number of times already. So we didn't go back home to Godhead, obviously. At least for most of us, I don't know. But and that's connected to what you're saying, that you join the movement and you are you're doing very good in the beginning. You advance very quickly, but then you reach your own level. And this is the level that you have been struggling with for many lifetimes before. This is already my kind of, I hope it's philosophical speculation. It's not mental speculation. And therefore it's so easy in the beginning, because you don't do it now. Now you're just very quickly ascending to the point that you left from the previous life, from a number of lives. And now when you reach this plateau, this is your point of that we have to actually to start working hard and to try to please Krishna. And imagine this might be quite high level, relatively. Let's say you are on a level, you follow the principles, no problem. You chant 16 rounds, you follow very good sadhana. So in a sense, you're doing better than most of the devotees. And then you look around and you say, well, I'm doing fine. But this is what you have attained in the previous life. And in this life, you didn't do any tangible progress. And you may think that you're doing fine, and then you waste also this lifetime now. You're just standing there. So this might be one reason. And about falling down, could be what you said, that you, as a result of joining us one of these bridge preaching projects, you become the devotees, they catch you by all these material things. And that's what you think Krishna consciousness is, because nobody explained to you for a long time. And then when they explain, then you feel disappointed. Or could be offenses. Could be anything, really. So many. But normally it's the acharyas explained that at one point we have to start chanting the holy name with utmost attention, and if we don't, then gradually these offenses will catch up with us. The offenses of not chanting properly. And this may happen after 20, 30 years. A very successful devotional life, successful materially speaking. You may be a big devotee now, with many successful projects. But if you didn't chant properly the holy name, you'll lose taste, and the offenses will catch up. Yes, Tusipo.
Yeah, I was also thinking it's because it's like your motivation maybe just to achieve something material, and until you are achieving it, actually you are very enthusiastic because you want to achieve your goal. And the moment you are achieving, or you realize you want to achieve it in this way, then suddenly you will flow enthusiasm. Like we have one time a case with Pandava-bandhava. One boy, very enthusiastic, he just came and he
Seeing somebody else.
Yes, and then he figured it out and he just said, okay, now
Forget it.
no need to practice Krishna consciousness, and he left. And we never saw him again.
I mean, I saw him a few years
by
later.
chance,
It was nothing to do with Krishna
he
consciousness.
didn't mention anything about Krishna.
It was just like,
So sometimes devotees, I mean, people, they can become really enthusiastic to practice Krishna consciousness, but actually their motivation is completely mundane. So once they achieve their goal or they see there is no need to follow anymore, they just disappear.
okay.
I like the point. Nice class. The point about scientists not actually understanding each other because they go into such a narrow field.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yes.
it's unique. Here it's kind of cool. And my mom told me about the Tower of Babel story in the Bible.
Yeah.
A bunch of people want to build the tower to heaven, and they, God punished them by making them all speak different languages. The scientists not even around shop. So you see, in a very narrow field, the only person that's the only one to talk. The only person who understands the talk is the speaker.
Yeah.
Technical and complicated. Everybody's scientists say we could fix the world, but as they get deeper and deeper into just the material world, no one can understand any aspect of this finer parts except the people researching. Because nobody knows what's going on, even in the same community.
Yeah. And on a human level, this makes them also very lonely. Because who are your buddies that can understand you? Very few people, if any. So socially speaking, it's kind of awkward. And it's just amazing how Srila Prabhupada gave us the most advanced science in such a accessible way that everybody can understand. And so he's the master, and his way of presentation is accessible, welcoming, warm, like, and all these people who deal with lesser knowledge, and they don't have this understanding and knowledge, but they present it in such a technical way that nobody can understand. Well, very few people can understand. It's interesting. So a lesser knowledge is presented in a very difficult way, and the highest knowledge is presented in a very accessible way. Usually you would think it's the other way around, no? But, okay. Yes, thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. Grantara Śrimad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the Son of Devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru.